and take a vagabond dream of vagabond.
This is Lisa, I'm Mark, and we're the Vagabond Dreamers. We just got done spending a week on the smallest of the 3 Seychelles islands that we're visiting, Digue. This is a really small island. The whole island is 10 miles in circumference, 2,800 people. But what'd you think?
I loved it. It was very small, but that had its quaintness. Very, very chill as well. But I really, really enjoyed our 7 days on Digue.
Yeah, chill is a good way to say it compared to Mahe. We'll get to some of the things that weren't so chill in just a minute. As I always do when I get to a new place, I try to figure out what some of the history is like. And you'd think in a small island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, there wouldn't be that much to talk about. And you're probably right. But you shouldn't be surprised to know that people are connected everywhere. And that was true here on Digue. The legacy of slavery, which we know was the reason people came to this island. The French set it up as an agricultural community. They brought enslaved people from Africa, and that is some of the awful legacy of this place. There still is a working vanilla plantation on the island, and we got to see the remnants of the old coconut production to extract the oil with some of the equipment and stuff that they use for that, and that was pretty cool. The most interesting thing for me was the cemetery, the Union Cemetery that holds the remains of the early settlers of the place. It's kind of sad to see all the small coffins for the children due to the high infant mortality rates of that time. But one guy is buried there that connects Digue to the rest of Europe and the rest of the world. And this is the guy who was exiled there after he tried to assassinate Napoleon when Napoleon was first consul. So everywhere we go, there are connections, and I think that's important to understand. Not everything here was great.
Mark was hoping at the end of the last video, as he indicated, that the food would be better, and we found out that it was pretty much the same, but even more expensive. We didn't starve, so that's the positive.
Moving on, no more food talk in the Seychelles. It's a little pointless. What about the bikes and stuff?
The bikes, okay, so one of the quaintness, the chill part of Digue is because of its size and the small population. It's, Mark and I have compared it to Mackinac Island from the standpoint that there aren't horses. I think there used to be oxen, but there are bikes. So people generally scoot around by bicycle or by walking. So there's limited vehicles. Those are service vehicles, police vehicles, some taxis, but most of the time it's hotels have golf carts and people are hoofing it or they're on bicycles, and we're talking a lot of bicycles. So
well, I think that the problem is the difference in the experience level of the people that are riding. You have the
100%.
locals who are really good and they zip in and zip around, and you have the tourists white knuckling it through all this chaos, and then there are some consequences.
Yeah,
right?
and you know, it's funny because many tourists, I'm sure, haven't ridden a bike in a while, so they're hopping back on and they don't know where they're going. But I think it was interesting. Mark and I got our bikes and we were tooling around for the first little part of our very first day, and I noticed with some of the local residents that there were some bandages on their lower extremities, their feet, some ankles, lower shins. And it wasn't a lot of people, but it was enough for me to notice and think, what's going on? What kind of work are they doing that's getting them hurt? And it didn't take but another 24 hours for us to piece this together. It's very clear that they are road rash bicycle injuries.
You found this out because you met this woman on the beach, right?
Well, I found this out because we put 2 and 2 together, but a few days later I saw a woman on the beach, and she had a bandage on her shoulder, a bandage on her forearm, a couple of bandages on her same side of her whole body. So I knew immediately that this was a bicycle injury. And I asked her, I said, was this a bike? And she said, yeah, and it kind of ruined my whole vacation, which of course it would. You're not going to swim in the ocean with that kind of road rash. It reminded me of our experience in Belize, where they had the same thing, where there are limited cars, and my daughter took a biff and was covered in bruises and road rash. So I felt for her. It was interesting to get through the town.
really was, especially at night. No lights on most of the bikes. It's pretty wild. Well, moving on to one of the really cool things about the island, and that's the Anse Source d'Argent, this very well-known beach.
Yeah, so in preparation for the Seychelles, of course, there was a lot of research, and one of the things that I was so much looking forward to, and it was wonderful, so it hit my expectations for sure, but this was the Anse Source d'Argent beach. This was the most photographed beach. It's on magazines, it's in postcards, it's written about worldwide. So I was really excited to see it, and I mean, we saw it a few times because it really is impressive. But I had a moment of like, this is truly Instagram versus reality, because in my research, nothing mentioned about how commercialized it was. So you pay an entrance fee to even get into the Union estate area, which includes the beach, thank goodness, but you're wristbanded and you get there, and then there's multiple juice bars, there's beach music, there's clear kayaking, there's drones, so many drones, and of course there's lots of people, including us. So I get it, but it was kind of like, oh, I knew we weren't going to be the only ones there, but I didn't think it was going to be commercialized, because you don't see that on Instagram. So, you know, was it beautiful? 100%. Am I thankful I got to see it and spend some time there? Of course. It just kind of hit me a little weird because I wasn't prepared for it.
But all of that maybe slight problem was overcome when you met the fish, right? We were wading in some shallow water, and these giant fat fish came up and kind of swimming around, and we grabbed the camera. And then Lisa came up with this idea to use my precious carrot bread that I'd been hoarding, and let's see what will happen when we try to feed it to the fish. And I'm telling you, the result was this woman's happiest moment since we left Michigan, I think. Take a look at this video.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Get it. It's right there. Oh, you're so stupid. Oh my God. Oh my God. Do you have more? Oh my God. Oh, they're touching me.
They're in a feeding frenzy right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Look what you started.
I know, but what a great idea. Oh my God. Oh, good Lord. Complete chaos, feeding frenzy. Sounded like I was a little afraid, which I don't think I was scared, but yeah, I mean, it was absolutely a highlight. There's no doubt.
That was really awesome. So that's it. That's all we did on Digue, right? That was it?
Yeah, no, Mark.
Oh, what?
You forgot your favorite part.
Oh, the hikes.
The hike. One hike for Mark.
I did one hike, yes. Yeah, this was not a really long hike. It was only about a half a mile, but it was really rough terrain. Lots of boulders, rocks, caves.
We had to ride almost 4 miles to get there on our bike. No accidents. We didn't have an accident the entire time, but it was a 3 to 4 mile ride to get to the hike.
And I was not properly hydrated from the night before, so I took a lot of water and Diet Coke, which is the best hydrator there is, and but I struggled, and there's no doubt it was very hot and humid that day. Did make it through, super glad that we did, but I decided once we got to the end and the bar that was at the end of it that I was not going back through the rainforest and up that mountain and back down. So I decided to wade across the bay on the reef. It was a great experience. I saw some huge eels, a lot of fish and crabs, and I was in the water, so I didn't get overheated.
It was a great hike.
We've been on the island about 6 hours, and Lisa found us a hike, which is
It's a little one.
shocking.
It's a rest hike.
Completely shocking development here on Digue. Fantastic. Shit. I gotta get in the shade for a minute.
Okay, right up here. All right, here we go. Oh, it's not that bad. Shit, moving around in here. That was easy. Looked harder than it was.
Sometimes I want to push her down.
Gosh.
Find some shade, would you? Just stopped for a rest. For some reason, man, it's so much hotter and muggier today than what we've been used to. I don't even know where I'm going. Oh, up here. So I made a scientific discovery that this took a lot, and there might be a Nobel Prize, but when we're walking in the shade, I don't get as hot. So
Really? Well, let's walk in the shade then.
we need to
Stay out of the
do more research, but I'll be ready to publish eventually. Yes.
man, oh man, how cool. Woo. Never would I ever.
Guess a perfect definition of God-forsaken.
So that was the hike for Mark and I, but I needed to get one more hike in my system before we left Digue. My plan was to hike with a guide to Anse Source because that's the only beach on the island that you can't get to on your own. So I tried to make that work, but I couldn't get the connections sorted out. So I thought to myself, it's a small island, I'll figure this out. And I did. I mapped around about 8 miles. I calculated 8 miles. And a lot of it was road walking, and then you hit the same hike that Mark and I hit, and 3 additional hikes to get to beaches that are only accessible through hiking, but you don't need a guide. So I did that on my own. It was an awesome morning. Took me a little under 4 hours to get the 7.9 miles. Got to see Anse Coco, which was a beautiful rock pool, butted right up to Petite Anse, where I stopped for a lime drink, and then moved on to Grand Anse. And there was one other beach in there as well. and followed up with a 2-mile walk to get back to our villa. So that was my 8-mile solo hike, and I smiled the whole way.
And I'm glad she did. And it was really great because I got to hear about it and see
And he
pictures.
didn't have to go.
I didn't have to go. So, well, that was it. We have a whole bunch of other pictures of various things that we saw. We'll set it to some music for you. That was our trip to La Digue that we really enjoyed.
Sometimes all you need is sunshine and the breeze. Staring in wonder at the little joys you found. 1,000 miles starts with your feet upon the ground. Then you'll be dancing to the beat of every sound in you. Now here comes your life. It's right before your eyes. If there's a bright big world you feel inside, it's because there's a whole lot to love. Sometimes you're overdue to revise your point of view. You used to look up to the ones ahead in line, and now you left them all 1,000 miles behind. You catch them staring at the light that
Well, we just finished a little walk on La Digue, our very chill and fun island. We're heading to Praslin next to finish up our 3 weeks on the Seychelles. I'm Lisa, this is Mark.
We're the Vagabond Dreamers.
Take a vagabond dream of a vagabond fool. I ain't too proud to beg, but I'm playing it cool. I can do the town, I can do the walk when I'm walking